Hello, you're watching Shalom World News. I'm Donna Villa coming to you from Chicago, USA. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. Across the United States, there have been 95 incidents of vandalism targeting Catholic churches since May last year, according to a report by the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops Committee for Religious Liberty. The report states that the acts of vandalism include destruction of statues, defacing church buildings and gravestones, and arson. The latest incident took place on September 5th in Louisville, Colorado, where miscreants sprayed graffiti on the door of a Catholic church and two signposts. Last year, Archbishop Thomas Wensky of Miami, who chairs the Committee for Religious Liberty, said in a statement that such attacks are signs of a society that needs healing. The prelate also urged believers to pray for anyone who has caused it and to be vigilant against such attacks. Two Catholic archbishops in the U.S. have decried a bill in the state of California to replace a statue of St Junipero Serra at the state capitol. Last month, California lawmakers voted to pass Assembly Bill 338 that seeks to replace the statue of St Junipero, the Spanish missionary who evangelized the region in the 18th century, with a sculpture honoring the indigenous populations. In a Wall Street Journal editorial on September 12, Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone of California and Archbishop Jose Gomez of Los Angeles criticized the move and said that claims of the saintly missionary committing atrocities against the native people were untrue. The prelate said that the destruction of the state's native population took place long after the missionary died. St. Junipero came to California in 1749 to evangelize the indigenous people. He founded several missions and baptized more than 6,000 people. He was canonized by Pope Francis in 2015. It was an unforgettable moment for the residents of Bethlehem Center for the Homeless run by the Missionaries of Charity in Bratislava when Pope Francis made a private visit on Monday, September 13. The Holy Father listened to the testimonies of some of the volunteers and thanked the nuns for their witness to the gospel. His Holiness blessed the residents and promised to pray for them. The institution was established by the Missionaries of Charity, founded by St. Teresa of Calcutta in 1997 by transforming a school for the kindergarten into a home for the poorest of the poor. The Holy Father arrived in Slovakia on Sunday on a 4-day visit. Yesterday, he celebrated Holy Mass at the Byzantine Rite in Prešov in a gesture of solidarity with the Greek Catholic believers who are a minority in the country. The Archbishop of Boston, Cardinal Shalom OMalley, met Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel and sought clemency for those who took part in the nonviolent anti-government protests of July 11th. The Cardinal visited the president and other top officials last week as part of a three-nation visit that also included the Dominican Republic and earthquake-hit Haiti. In his blog, the prelate wrote that he discussed the recent people's protests in Cuba and the prospect of sending aid to Cuba through Caritas Cubana, the Cuban branch of the Global Catholic Aid Agency. The nationwide protest against the communist government triggered by the poor pandemic management, severe inflation, and acute shortage of medicine. In Myanmar, fighting has intensified between government troops and ethnic militia in the state of Chin, forcing more than 1,000 people to flee their homes. Local media has reported that at least 20 people, mostly teenagers, were killed by the government troops in Gangao Township on September 10th. On the same day, there were military airstrikes and heavy shelling, forcing residents of Langlar village in Chin State to flee. So far, 16,000 people from Myanmar have crossed over into Mizoram, Nagaland, Manipur, and Arunachal Pradesh in India, according to the Human Rights Watch. The state of Chin is home to a large Christian population, and internally displaced people are being sheltered in churches and church-run schools. The former Archbishop of Canterbury, Lord Rowan Williams, has expressed concern over the assisted suicide bill that is currently in the British Parliament. If passed, the bill will permit physician-assisted suicide for terminally ill adults who have fewer than 6 months to live. Archbishop Williams said it was doubtful if doctors would be delivering accurate prognoses to justify prescribing lethal drugs to patients. He expressed his concern in a statement that appeared on the website of the British Medical Journal. The top Anglican prelate said that overstrained families and overstretched medical systems combined with inadequate palliative care will make more patients desperate, forcing them to end their own lives. The assisted dying bill, sponsored by Baroness Molly Meacher, will be debated in the House of Lords on October 22nd. The Most Reverend Rowan Williams served as Archbishop of Canterbury from 2002 to 2012. The Christian organization Pro-Life Wisconsin will host a March for Life on October 2nd at the state capitol, proclaiming the sanctity of life from the moment of conception. After inspirational talks by prominent pro-lifers, there will be a march around the state capitol. This will be followed by a prayer session in front of the Planned Parenthood building in Madison. Pro-Life Wisconsin was formed in 1992, 20 years after the Roe v. Wade ruling, as a legislative and educational organization. It works to assert that all preborn babies are persons and all innocent persons are sharing in the right of life. The organization also educates the public and lobbies elected state officials. The lead bishop for Africa of the Episcopate of England and Wales has expressed solidarity with the suffering people of Anglophone region in Cameroon who are bearing the brunt of an ongoing conflict between separatist government troops. Bishop Paul Swarbrick of Lancaster has pledged the commitment and support of the bishops to help the thousands of displaced people in the region. Gross human rights violations are being reported from the region known as Ambazonia, where more than 4,000 people have died in the conflict and close to 750,000 people have been displaced. The bishop also prayed for the suffering people and aid workers. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us tomorrow. In the meantime, you can visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.